All right, greetings and welcome back. In the last video, we added some wood textures to our material, and in doing so, we made a material that is actually quite practical and looks very nice, and you could use this in any level where you needed a good wood surface. What I'm gonna do now is completely unscripted. I have no idea how this is gonna turn out. I am just going to have some fun with the material editor and make something that is probably significantly less practical, but should be fun, and hopefully along the way we'll teach you some cool tricks and fun things that you can do when creating your own materials, so that hopefully this will be very useful to you as you start to explore and really get used to using the material editor on your own. So we're going to start by bringing in some more textures to play with. My end goal is I want to be able to break this up into a whole bunch of wooden panels that have different colors across them. And then we'll take the gaps in between all those panels and we'll probably make them glow because I really like things that glow. I don't know, it just makes me glad. So let's slide this out of the way. Let's take a look in the content browser, and here inside the textures panel, there is this really fun texture that's going to look a little scary at first. So I want to explain it. It's called T-Ceramic Tile M. M in this case stands for mask. I'm going to double click that, and that's going to open it up here inside the texture editor. And this looks like some crazy clown costume patchwork, doesn't it? With a whole bunch of magenta and yellow and red. What this is a whole bunch of mask data that is condensed into a single texture. When I say mask data, it's really just a whole bunch of black and white pictures that are stacked on top of each other. And artists, particularly at Epic, will use this technique a lot to save on texture space. So if you go under View here in the texture editor and we turn off all but say the red channel, you'll notice the red channel is just a black and white picture that shows the gaps between some tiles. And that's it. The green channel, however, is just highlighting a few of these tiles, just making them white and leaving the others black. The blue channel, same thing, it's just making a different collection of some of those tiles. That's it. And then alpha is actually blank, so we're not really using the alpha channel here. We just have three different black and white pictures. We have this one, and this one, and this one that are all stacked on top of each other. But when you combine them all together as color channels, you get something that looks like this. It looks a little bit crazy. But again, this is a very common technique that artists use to hide texture data within a single texture to save on overall space. So we'll go ahead and drag this into our scene. And let's say that we want to create some areas where some of our wood, okay, first off, let's make some wood panels. So let's make this look like it's a whole bunch of different panels. I guess we should start there, and then we'll worry about the colors. So our red channel just looks like a whole bunch of gaps between tiles. So let's not drag that up too high. What I'm gonna do is take our wood texture sample, and I'm going to drag a wire out from its RGB, and let's type in multiply and press enter. Now, I don't like my wires to cross if they don't absolutely have to. I mean, a lot of cases they do, but as long as I can avoid it. So let's plug, I'm gonna remove that wire that was there. Sorry, sometimes I click and forget to tell what I'm doing. Hold down the Alt key and click and remove that wire, and then reconnect that to B. Take the red channel of your new little patchwork ceramic tile texture and plug that into A. Now this allows us to also take a look at previewing a result. On any node in the material editor, you can right click and choose Start Previewing Node, and you can see the result of just that node. So here you can see that we have our wood, but we also start to see some dark lines that are getting kind of sketched in wherever that red channel information is hitting. So now let's stop previewing, and we'll plug that result into base color. And again, start and stop preview is right there in the right click menu. You can use them whenever you want to see the result of just a single node. Okay, so we've got some lines that are being drawn, but it would be nice if those were actually like lumpy, bumpy, like you feel like you could stick your finger in between the crevices. So that's the next thing we should do. And to do that, we need the normal map associated with this ceramic tile texture. So let me slide my material editor out of the way for just a moment. And you see we have T ceramic tile N. I'm going to drag that in as well. And so here is the normal map for our ceramic tiles. Now we're going to do something that is very fancy. We're going to combine two normal maps together. Now here's the trick. A normal map is made up of three individual colors, just like every texture. It would be red, green, and blue. The important thing to understand is that it's really red and green that give you your sense of depth. Blue is generally the color that represents the actual surface itself. Now that sounds super technical, so if you just kind of heard what I said and you're like, what? Don't worry about it, because what we're going to do is show you how to combine these in a way that keeps your surface still technically accurate. The way you do that is you take the second normal map that you want to combine and you nullify its blue information. Let me show you. So here on our second normal map, I'm just going to drag a wire out from my RGB output. And we're going to type in, let's just start typing in mask. And you should see component mask in the list. All this node does is it allows you to choose which of these wires you'd like to use. And you might be thinking, well, why don't you just use these two wires? Well, we could. We just have to append them together. So in this case, you'll notice that I'm only using red and green. And if we take a look at its thumbnail, you'll see that all the blue has been removed. As a matter of fact, I can right-click and I can start previewing that, and you'll notice that all that blue information is gone, which is pretty useful. Let's go ahead and stop previewing now. Now, if you're thinking, why don't you just use the individual wires? You could, but you'd have to use a different node for that. We'd have to append them. Let me Alt-click on this wire, and we'll move this out of the way. We could take red and type in append vector. So there's an append. And then we can plug in B, and you'll see that does the exact same thing. So it's really just whichever way you want to go. I wanted to show you a component mask, so we'll just start there. We'll grab red, green, and blue, and we're just going to mask out red and green, so we'll leave those checked. So that's perfect. Now, to combine these two normal maps, here's the catch. Right now, we don't even have a 3-value color. We don't have red, green, and blue. We literally have a 2-element vector with just red and green. We need to get something back in that third channel, something to represent the blue channel before we combine these colors together. So what we'll do is we will create an append vector, which I did just a second ago. But we're going to take value B, and here's how this works. We're going to say, take the result of red and green, like so. And now we're going to take a third number and just slap it to the end to make a 3 vector. So just to kind of jump over to my chalkboard and drive this home for anybody who may be confused right now, once we masked out red and green, we had a value for red, which could be some number. So we'll just say that's 0.5 as a random example. It doesn't really matter what the value is. And this one could be 0.7. But for blue, we had nothing. There was no blue. Why is that a problem? Well, the other normal map actually does have red, green, and blue data, and you cannot combine 2 values with 3 values. We need to get something into blue so that these suddenly become compatible again. Only when you have 3 values and 3 values are you happy and things can actually be combined. So what we'll do is we'll come back over here to Unreal. There we go. And we're going to append a value of 0 onto the end. So let me just hold down the 1 key and click. And this already has a value of 0. So we'll just plug that in. So now this is the same as having our color texture. You'll notice if I preview both these in the little thumbnails, the value hasn't changed, but the data has. Where this was just RG, now it's RG and B. That means that these two nodes, our original normal map and our new normal map, are now compatible and can simply be added together, which is exactly what we're going to do. So let's drag a wire off this and say add. And we could just plug B in, but again, I get a little OCD about the wires actually crossing if they don't have to, so we'll plug the append into B. We'll plug this guy into A. And our result is a normal map that actually combines the best of both worlds. So you can still see the wood grain, but now we're getting little indentations in the location of all the wood panels. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so we've gone on for about 10 minutes. I'm going to take a break, and then when we come back, I'll show you how we can use some more of the information from this ceramic tile texture to cause some of our wooden panels to be different colors. But that's going to wrap things up for now. Thank you very much.